Alright, in lesson 9.8, we're going to be using nets to find the surface of rectangular prisms. So let's first look at our vocabulary. So a net is a pattern you can fold to form a three-dimensional figure. And after we fold, or you would create our net, we can then find what we call the surface area, and that's the area or the sum of all the areas of the surfaces. So first, let's figure out how do we draw a net. And we first need to look at, we're drawing a hexagonal prism. The hexagon is what we call for the base, or that's how we call it a hexagonal prism, is because the base of it is a hexagon. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 sides. So first step is to draw one base. So they've already drawn it here for us. The second step is to draw one of the faces. So we're going to draw one face, and that is going to be what we connect our base together. So if I have my base as my hexagon, and then I fill in, so this, let's color this in, so I've got my face right here. That's going to be our face that is right here. And then the other step is to draw the other base. And the base has to be the exact same as our other base for it to be a prism. And then our remaining step is to draw the remaining faces. Now, the number of faces should relate to the number of sides that our base has. So since our base has 6 sides, we will have 6 faces that go around the prism, which we have 2 more faces, so 8 faces in total on a hexagonal prism. So, quick check, draw a net for a cube. Go ahead and practice this, and we'll check here in a second. Alright, so we should have, for a net for a cube, you should have your base, that is right here, and then we have to draw our other sides. So if I have my base, that's our bottom cube, or our bottom square, and then we have, if I folded all these up, I would have a box, but it wouldn't have a top. So I need to add one more side here to create the top for our cube. Now this is not the most perfect drawing, because a cube would have all square sides, and right now my sides are not all equal or congruent. So it's not a perfect net for a cube, but it does. It would relate to what we're after. I could say that each side here. Oops, my pen would catch up. So I could have my markings to identify that every side is congruent, whether it looks like it or not to scale. Then this would show that, yes, that's a cube. Every side is congruent to the next. Alright, so now we need to look at finding the surface area of a prism. So let's use our pizza box as an example. So my pizza box, up in the top, I see that my length is 18, my width is 18, my height is 2. To find the volume is length times width times height. But I'm not finding volume, I'm finding the surface area. So surface area is finding the area of each side and adding it together. So let's first identify what our different sides are. So we'll call this our front side, and then let's call that this is going to be the back side, because our pizza box opens with this being the flap in the back. And that means that this would be the right side of our pizza box, and then this would be our left side. The reason why we identify each of these is because down here it helps organize it. This will be the bottom, and this is the top. So now let's fill in our measurements. So I can see that the width right here is 18 inches, I can see that if that's 18 and it's a square box, my length here is 18 inches, which means that this backside here is 18 inches, which means that this is 18 inches. Since the width up on the top or on the bottom part of the box was 18, the width on the top should be 18 as well. And then we have our other little measurements here, and these are our heights, and the height is 2 inches. So now we can take all of our measurements and plug them into our equation here. So the back of our box, remember this is the back, if I were to be multiplying those to find the area, remember area for a rectangle is length times width, or base times height. So length and width, I've got 2 and 18. So I would have 36. And then the top is 18 times 18. And 18 squared is 324. On the left side, I have 2 and 18. There's my pen, so you can catch up here. So I've got, oh, there we go, 2 and 18. So that's 36. And then the bottom here is the same as the top, 18 and 18. So 324. The right side is 18 and 2. So that's 36. And the front is going to be the same as the back. So it's 2 and 18, which then be 36. So to find all this together, the total, I'd add up my 36, my 324, 36, 324, 36, and 36, giving us a grand total of 792. But we can't forget that we are finding surface area. So this would be 792 square inches, or I could say 792 inches squared. Alright, so now let's look at finding the surface area of this prism. So we have a box here, and we could say that this 12 is our width, our 12 here could be our height, and then we have a length of 30. So we're finding surface areas, so we need to identify each of our sides here, and say it may just be easier to draw our shape, or our net, our figure. So I've got my bottom rectangle, and then I have the side that folds out over here, and then I've got the other side that let's make that a little bit better. So I've got the side that folds out over here. Well, then I've got the front face that needs to fold up to be a side, and then it has to have a matching side over there. And then, of course, on top, this would be the top of our box. So let's do our identification of our sides. So I know that the back of the box, which is going to be this part right here, this is going to be 30 times 12. And when we multiply that out, we get 360, which means that the front of our box is going to be the same, 30 times 12. That equals 360. And then I've got the sides. So that's going to be 12 squared, or 12 times 12. So that's going to be 144. And so that's going to be the same thing over here, so 144. And then I need to look at the bottom of my box, which again is the 30 times 12. That's our 360, which the bottom has to match the top of our box with dimensions. So 30 times 12, that equals 360. And that covers all of our sides. So now we need to look at and say, I need to add up my 144, my 360, 360, 144, 360, and 360. When I add all those together, I get 1,725 28. And I always look back at what my label is. I'm talking meters. And since I'm finding the surface area, area always would be units squared. So our final answer, 1,728 meters squared. That's the end of lesson 9.8, finding or drawing nets and finding the surface area.